Well, hi everyone, this is Wilson back with another game of Delve, the dice game. A print and play game that I found on Board Game Geek quite some time ago and have enjoyed for many months now. It's a game by Chamberlain and I think he's done a fantastic job of things. For the basics, you might want to refer to my first video where I walk through one of Drew's scenarios that he has in his sort of basic print-off package. Of course, it's all for free. Whereas in this scenario that I'm going to play today, I'm going to do a couple of modifications, a couple of house rules. Actually, if anything, it makes the game a little bit harder, and I think it also makes the game probably a little bit, or at least potentially a little bit longer. I don't have everything ironed out yet, but I want to show you how I play it. Basically, we keep a new stat for each character, for each adventure, and that's called fatigue. I wasn't sure what else to call it. I realized that the term fatigue has been used, but I think it works out quite well for our purposes in this game. So you want to keep your health score high and your fatigue score low. That's the thrust of things, and I'll get into that in a second. As far as the game goes today, we're going to be playing a quest called the Sands of Time. It's a pretty fun one. I haven't played it in quite a while, so some of it's actually going to be a surprise for me. A couple of things that I'm going to point out. Actually, one thing I want to point out is just that the way this prints, and I've seen this on Board Game Geek, some comments, it doesn't print very well. I think it was printed off as a file, a PDF, and it seemed to chop both the top and the bottom. So let me just show that to you so you'll know what to expect. I don't know why it does it, or maybe it's just on certain printers, but it did it on mine. So you can see the top is kind of chopped off there. There's no real title. It's supposed to be up there, Sands of Time, and you can just kind of make out about 3/4 of the art and what's going on in the first encounter. And then just a little bit to the right, you can see my fighter already has his head lopped off, and the rogue's just sneaking under that. But still, the four main characters. And I'm going to be playing these characters again today. The fighter, the rogue, the cleric, and the wizard. So we're using the same ones. Their skills also got chopped off a little bit, but some of it's the same. Here's where I want to explain my modifications. First of all, the fighter. The fighter says that he's got this ability called charge, where 6s do 1 damage, but you can only count up to 2 6s per round for this attack. So that's fine. We're going to actually make a small adjustment on that. We're going to make the success a 4. So instead of being a 6, it's a 4. The reason I do that is it actually does make the game, I think, harder, because it splits up the opportunity or the ability of the cleric to succeed at getting healing in. And I like the idea that you have to make that choice, and probably have to make that choice earlier. Are you going to go for, a couple of 4s and do some damage, or are you going to use that 4 for healing? Because no matter what you use, whether it's 1, 2, 3, 4, or 2, 3, 4, 5, or 3, 4, 5, 6, at the very lowest, you need that 4. So if I remove that from the equation, it becomes a bit of an issue. So I like that. I like having to make that tough choice. That's one adjustment that I've made. I've often found the wizard's ability to create something called chain lightning was too strong. And I think that in some scenarios it is. Like when you're facing a bunch of monsters that only have 1 life and you can pull off a 4 of a kind, which isn't always that hard, the chain lightning instantly kills them all. However, in this scenario, what we have is chain lightning, it does the same, but in this scenario, none of the monsters really are that fragile, and so we're going to leave that alone. I do have a modification for the wizard, but I'm not going to use it. I see here he also has fireball and demise and a ray of frost for 3 of a kind, where the enemies would then roll 2 less dice for the monster on the next round, or that is their next roll. So I'll just keep the wizard's abilities intact this time around. Here's the big modification, and that's fatigue. What I'm doing is I'm introducing to each character a level of fatigue. Fatigue represents the movement, if you will, between encounters. So what you'll have with any one of these guys is a score that you want to stay low. The higher it is, the more fatigue they have, the less successful they will be with certain things that they're trying to accomplish. So the fighter starts with a 5 fatigue, which is quite high because the fighter is heavily armored. And so he moves around, he's a bit clunky when he moves around. He tires out a little more easily, even though he's more brutal in his attack and so forth. So the maximum that the fighter can have is 6. The maximum any of them can have is 6. And so these are the scores I've given them accordingly. And they total the number 13. So when our characters move between encounters, they have to do a check, if you will. I roll 4 dice, 1 for each living adventurer. So if one dies, if the fighter dies, this might actually become easier to achieve, the bottom line, the total. Because what they need to do is they need to overcome, not equal, but overcome the number of their total party fatigue. So if they're going between encounters from the giant to the skeletons, say, they need to roll on this and they need to do better than 13. If they do not, then they will have an encounter. And I have the encounters here. Now this can be unpacked even more, but I've kept things pretty basic and pretty straightforward. Some of my modifications go a lot deeper than this. I use the fatigue score for things like picking locks, where if the party is more fatigued, then the opportunity to pick a lock is, or the ability to pick a lock is much less open to them. Also, I use fatigue scores for things like finding secret doors. If they're fatigued, their search will tend to be much less successful, and sometimes for smashing objects like chests and that sort of thing. So that's what I use fatigue for, but you don't have to use fatigue for any of that. So I just want to start with a simple modification here so you can get a little bit of an example of it today. And one final thing, actually 2 final things before we start rolling. First of all, this is how I count the life and the fatigue of my characters. So here's the fighter with 6 life and 5 fatigue. Here is the rogue. She has 3 life and 1 fatigue. The cleric has 3 life and 4 fatigue. And the wizard has 1 life and 3 fatigue. And so that's the starting numbers for all of my guys. The only other thing I want to say before I begin is that I want to apologize for this motion sensitivity on my camera. I looked and looked and I cannot find how to turn it off. I don't even know how it got turned on. Maybe it's just sort of comes with the thing, but it was pointed out on my first video that it was kind of annoying, and I apologize because I can't seem to do anything about it. So when I do things like shake to roll my dice, you can see how the camera, the screen, it's actually steady, but it's moving. It's trying to keep up with my hand, and it's just annoying. I apologize for that. If I can think of a way to turn this off, I will. Anyway, let's go ahead. Let's look at the first encounter and see what we have in store. Looks like we're going to face 3 raiders, each with a life of 3. Here are my raiders, each with a life of 3, and I am going to go first. So you roll 6 dice. Again, I'm not going to go over all the rules here. If you want, look to my first video and you'll see a little bit more about that. All right, here we go. Well, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is fantastic healing. But I'm not going to need any of that right now. So I'm going to keep the 1 and the 4, which are both hits. 1 by the thief and 1 by my fighter. All right, I've got 4 1s, a 4, and a 5. Okay, I think I'll keep that. And I'll re-roll the 5. I'll keep the 4 1s and the 4. Ooh, I got 5 1s. So again, I think I've started out pretty good, because it looks like what's happened here is I've got 5 of a kind. And according to the spell set, I've destroyed my enemies. Let's have a look. Yes, indeed. According to this, the fireball from the wizard is a 5 of a kind, which I have 5 1s, and that manages to do 6 damage that can be applied to multiple opponents. Oh, hang on. Oh, I see, I see, I see. So I have 6 damage to distribute among all of my opponents. Okay, well that's all right. I don't mind that. So here's what we'll do. Let's apply 3 damage to this guy and 3 damage to this guy. So that's 6 damage, and we have a 4 left. So that's 1 hit from the fighter, and so we will knock this guy down to 2. So we're facing 1 kobold, or excuse me, is it a kobold raider? I don't know, it's kind of cut off. We're facing 1 raider who will hit on a 5 or a 6, and that raider gets to roll 2 dice. The raider got a 5, so the raider succeeded with 1 hit. So we're going to take that 1 hit off of our fighter. But it's our turn again. All I need is a couple of 4s or a couple of 1s, and I'm moving on. Well, I got a 1 and 3 5s that are fairly significant. I'm going to take my chance here, and I'm going to roll, keep the 1, and roll the rest. And we're fine. Okay, so I've got the 2 1s for the kill, and I've got 3 2 4s and a 6. I'm going to roll this one and see if I can get a 5 for 2 points of healing. And I didn't get it. Okay, so it doesn't matter. The raider, whether he's a kobold or not, I don't know where I got that in my head. Anyway, the raider is dead, and we've succeeded in our first effort. All right, this is where this is going to come in. So now we're going to roll because we're between 2 rooms. So here we go with the fatigue score. We're going to roll 1, 2, 3, 4 dice, and we have to do better than 13. If we get 13 or less, then we're going to have to refer to this chart, rolling 1d6, and find out just exactly it is we are up against. I did not do better than 13. In fact, I got 6, 7, 8. So I failed in my movement between rooms. So I need to roll 1d6, and let's see what it is we come up with. It's a 1. Let's have a look. A penalty for a 1 in my fatigue says that I must take 1 damage, but my little note here says I must succeed to escape. So that means my party takes 1 damage, and I have to roll this check again and beat 13. So let's see what we can do. So first we apply the 1 point of damage. The fighter comes down, and we don't re-roll the encounter. Instead, we just re-roll the dice because the party is still in the quicksand and they have to get out. Once again, they don't succeed. They need to do better than 13. So we know that that's another point of damage. Down to 3. And let's try again. And again, do not succeed. Eventually here, I'm going to have to spread the damage out. And now, as you can see, we do succeed. 6 and 4, and 4 and 1 is 15. No more quicksand. I've taken some significant damage on the fighter, and we're moving on to the next encounter. Okay, it says here that we're going to meet up with 30 scorpions, and they're going to hit on a 6. That's a lot of scorpions. The thing is they don't all come at me at once. They're coming in sort of in waves. So for the first round, only 6 scorpions are going to attack me, but at the end of the round, I will add 6 more scorpions until all 30 have come into battle. Hopefully, I won't have to face 30 at once. So let's have a look and defend ourselves. All right, here's our first 6 scorpions standing by, ready to do me harm. And here are my 6 dice to roll. Now this is an occasion where you most absolutely do want to get that chain lightning. I wasn't aware, I didn't remember that in this scenario, the Sands of Time, that we faced an enemy like this, but apparently we do. So let's go for some chain lightning here, which is a 4 of a kind. Love to get it. Certainly not going to happen. Okay, so it's a bit of a tough choice here. Do I go for it, or do I just start fresh? Whew, this is tough. Okay, we're going to set aside the 2s. 2 is my favorite number, so we're gonna go with 2. Okay, 2s, you can go up there. All right, come on, 2. That didn't work. Okay, we are slowly in some trouble here. All right, I am going to keep a 1 and a 4 because I know those are hits. 2 1s doesn't do me any good because the thief can only put damage onto one enemy. So I'm going to keep 2 hits for sure, and I'm going to re-roll 4 dice and hope for another 4. And I did get it. So I got 2 4s for 2 hits, so that'll be 2 kills right there, and a 1 for 1 hit. So that's it for them. Now we have to roll their attack on us. So there's 3 of them, and they will hit on a 6. And they all missed, so that's good news. However, they are joined by more friends. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now we've got 9 of these fellows to deal with. All right, let's hope for some chain lightning again. Okay, this is okay, I guess. 2 1s. We're sort of committing ourselves here. 3 1s. This is a bit scary. I'm going to keep the 4 just in case, but please one of these be a 1. Yikes. Okay, so I have options, but the best option here is to take my 2 4s. Each one of those would be a kill and a 1. Now, the wizard does have the Ray of Frost, so I could use the 3 of a kind to roll 2 less dice for the monsters on this round. In fact, you know what? I will do that. I'm going to use my 2 4s to kill 2 of these guys. And then I am going to use the Ray of Frost so that instead of rolling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dice, they're going to roll 5 dice. Because the Ray of Frost means that they roll 2 less dice for this round. Okay, so again, they're going to hit me on a 6. And they got 1 hit. I'm going to take that hit from my thief. Alright, I'm going to need some healing here before too long. First of all, it's my turn, and second of all, we have to add some more friends. So, 6 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry for the yellow guys, but I wasn't ready for the scorpions in this scenario. I forgot about them. Okay, my turn. Rolling 6 dice. Come on, 4 of a kind, please. Okay, man, I've got healing. I do have healing, and I do need healing. What does a guy in my position do? All right, I am going to not heal. I am going to take my 2 1s. I've got to get that chain lightning. It's the best thing here. So let's hope for more 1s. So I've got 3 1s, 2 5s, and a 3. Now I have a total of 3 1s, so I'm rolling 3 dice again. I need a 1. Oh, I got one. It's up high. But that's all that matters. So I'm going to use my 4 as a hit to kill him. Ta-da! Not that it matters, because what that succeeded in was killing all these guys. I used Chain Lightning from the wizard, and Chain Lightning does 1 damage to each opponent. So that's exactly what the doctor ordered there. But the attack isn't over, because at the end of the round, 6 more come after me. However, it's my attack again, and so I'm going to take it. See what we can do. So there's now 9, and there won't be any more, but it's my turn to attack. And I've got a 6, a 6, and a 6. All right, let's go for the Chain Lightning here. There we go. 4 6s, a 1, and a 4. So I'll use the 1 and the 4. The thief gets a kill, the fighter gets a kill, They get that just before the magic user steps in with his chain lightning and bam, casts his spell as the light bounces from one scorpion to the next. They shriek, they shrivel, they crack and pop, and they die. There we go. So I made it through the scorpions. But now, in order to get to the next level, the next room as it were, we have to roll once again a check on our fatigue. Remember, we have to beat 13. And we rolled a 5 and 4 is 9, and 2 is 10, 11, and 4 is enough. So our fatigue is fine. We move on to the next location. So here we are at a sandstorm. The sandstorm says that we roll 6 dice 3 times, and for each 6 rolled, we take 1 damage. All right, so let's do that. I'm just gonna roll 18 dice, and let's see how many 6s we get. Okay, that's 18 dice. Let's roll them and hope that none of them are a 6. I don't know what the odds of that are, but let's go for it. I see a lot of 6s there. Oh man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm counting 7. I don't even think I can survive that. Wow. Okay, let's have a look. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 life. What does 1 do? Well, 1, 2 would kill him. 3, 4 would kill him. 5, 6 would put him at 1, and 7 would kill him. Okay, well, for all intents and purposes, the sandstorm has killed me. I do have a healer left, but I don't think the healer is going to survive. Why don't we just see what another roll of 18 would have looked like so that we can progress a little further through this. So last time it was 7, this time it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, well, I tell you what, let's just be straight up with this and say that's it. I think this video is long enough, so here's what I'm gonna do. We'll end it here, just as something short and sweet, with the knowledge that we did not succeed. We did not make it out of the sandstorm. So there you have it, friends, the Sands of Time. I did my best. Here's the path that I took. I started here against these raiders, and I went from here to the scorpions. I went from here to the sandstorm, and I was eliminated. And you can see that I had quite a ways left to go. So I can do much better at this, I think. But in the meantime, I'm gonna post this and just get your feedback on it. You tell me, what do you think of my little homemade rule here? Clearly the fatigue played a role in my game, because if I didn't do so poorly between the first 2 encounters, then I would have gained some life back and the quicksand wouldn't have done so much damage. So let me hear your comments. You tell me what you think of this, and we'll go from there. And I tell you what, I'll see if I can fix the motion detection on this camera, and maybe we'll make it through the Sands of Time next time around. Okay, so for now, this is Wilson signing off on a short one.